Hey everyone, it's Raphael here. Now, if you've been a follower of the channel, you know that this channel is mainly around financial literacy, personal finance, and personal development. But I have a massive fascination with technology, with the intention of seeing how a specific piece of technology can add more efficiency and productivity to my life. So that really brings me to my latest toy, which is the Amazon Kindle Scribe. And today I'm going to do a raw and uncut review of this e-ink device, but I'm going to warn everyone in advance that this is going to be raw and uncut. I haven't been sponsored. I used my own money to purchase this device, and I didn't purchase this device to make a video on it. I purchased the Amazon Kindle Scribe because I wanted to see how useful it would be to my job, my business, and my life. So because I'm going to ramble on this video, I've added detailed chapter markers below. Go to whatever section gives more value to you, but I would very much appreciate you watching the whole video because this is a device that's really niche, and to determine whether it's right or wrong for you really depends on nuance, and that is what I'm going to give you. So let's get started. First, what is this device? Now, the Amazon Kindle Scribe 2024 edition is Amazon's latest premium e-ink device. And it's really designed to do two things. First, it's a high quality Kindle. So this is a great reading device so you can read all your favorite books. And at the same time, it is bigger. So it has a 10.2 inch display, it's glare free, and it has a really sharp display as well. So it's around 300 ppi, and quite frankly, it is really, really beautiful to read on. The other thing is that you can write on it with a stylus. And with that, you can actually do a couple of things. So you can write on your books, you can annotate, and you can make notes, and you can use it as a digital notebook. And that is what I am really interested in. Now, you might have noticed I said that this is the 2024 version, and that's because the original Kindle Scribe was released in November 2022. But the 2024 edition is a refreshed version. So whilst it doesn't really introduce a major hardware redesign, it does include several performance upgrades and software improvements. Compared to the 2022 model, the 2024 edition offers improved writing functionality such as active canvas, which means you can now jot down notes directly in your book. And there's also this side panel, which allows you to see all your notes that you've made, including any highlighting and things like that. There's also more advanced notebook templates, and probably the biggest thing is Amazon AI, and this does two things. One, it converts your handwriting to text, and then it can summarize your text, and it actually does this really well. I'm pretty amazed with it, and we'll talk about this later. Now, if we actually step outside the world of manufacturer specification lists and actually talk about real life changes, well, there's a couple of more differences. First, the bezel is now white instead of black. And this means that you're actually writing, or it feels like you're writing on a standard white piece of paper. So it creates the illusion that you have a bigger canvas to write on, and both of these things are a big deal. Amazon has also given you the option of a new color, and this is the tungsten green. I honestly love it. This is a beautiful, beautiful color. The only negative about that is you can only get this color on the very top spec of the Amazon Kindle. So this means you need to get the 64 gigabyte edition, which in Australia costs $729 instead of $649 for the standard 16 gigabyte version. The other thing is the writing experience. Now, Amazon has ever so slightly changed the texture of the screen and the tip of the pen. So there is a difference in the writing experience, and it is much better. How do I know this? Because I had the 2022 version, which I also returned, and we'll get to that later. But that does, it really does feel different, at least from my memory. With that, the final thing is that the previous basic pen has been rescinded. So now all Kindle Scribes come with a premium pen, which has this upgraded design. I'm not sure if you can really get this on frame. There you go. So, this is a really nice pen. The great thing about it is that it has a button over here on the side, which means you can highlight instead of having to go to the settings and then click highlighter. And it also has this erasable this eraser at the end, and we'll get to that later as well, because it feels like a real life eraser. It's really great. Before I start my actual review, I thought I'd just quickly go over the device itself, just to give you some level of familiarity with the actual device. So you can see the 10.2-inch display over here, the white border. As I said, it's really good when you're writing. It's relatively white, right? It's not completely white, but it's relatively okay. Now, of course, when you're seeing the book cover here, reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, yes, there's a contrast. It's a very clear contrast, but look, it is much better than the competitors, I'll tell you that. So anyway, you can see the green bezel over here. I really love it because it's so ergonomic to hold. That being said, it does look a little bit out of place, but that's not a big deal. So we've got the pen here, we've got the stylus, the Kindle pen, the premium pen. You can see a button here. This allows you to highlight, and then there's the eraser on top, which is beautiful. You know, when you erase with this, it feels like it's a real pencil eraser. You can also see the Amazon logo right there. But other than that, relatively clean. And you have the nib over there. You probably can't see. Yeah, so you got the nib over there. When you purchase the Kindle Scribe, it does come with a few nibs as well, so that's a really good thing. But you can also see when you magnetize the pen onto the device, how thin the device is. It is remarkable. I'm not sure whether you can really see it on camera. Maybe you can, but you hopefully can see how thin the device is. It's thinner than the actual pen, which is really great. If we flip over to the back, you'll see the Amazon logo here, a little bit of legal at the bottom, and you have these 4 little pads, these little grip pads to do 2 things. 1, grip onto the table, and 2, ensure that you're not just sitting the device directly on this metal, which could easily be scratched up. So that's really good. It's pretty good grip. Now this table right here does have a little bit of sheen, so it is a little bit slippery. Not really, in practice, not really, because you're pushing down on the screen and you're writing. So other than that, we've got the back, we've got the top, we've got the bottom. On the sides, there's nothing here, nothing on top, there's nothing on the bottom, and that might be a little bit peculiar because the USB port, the USB-C port, not USB-A, USB-C, very good, it's not at the bottom. Normally you have the USB-C ports or the USB ports at the bottom. This time they decided to put it on the left, and on top of that is the power button, the on and off button. I don't know why Amazon has decided to do that. I assume due to the design and engineering of the product. You can see the big bezel here, so undoubtedly they decided to take advantage of that and put slot the USB port over there. I mean, it's not really a big deal in practice, though it is different, and you do have to line up your devices in a different pattern in order to charge them. You know, for example, I've got my my iPhone. What is this? The 16 Pro Max. The USB port is at the bottom there, so you're kind of having to line up your devices like this to charge up your device. So that's I don't know, it's a different thing. But anyway, that was just a quick brief overlook on the physical device itself. I thought I'll also give you a quick little look inside the actual device itself. So if you press the power button on, it goes straight into the home page. Now that was very quick, by the way, and that's because I literally just turned this off just a moment ago. As in, I just press this button just like that, and then I press it again, and then boom, so it has it in memory. So that's the reason why it was quite quick. Otherwise, it takes a couple of seconds to warm up and start up. But anyway, just to give you a quick little overview, on top you've got the recent items, you've got the recent PDFs, notebooks, ebooks that you have been reading or annotating on, and then you essentially just have a whole bunch of, it's essentially just the Kindle store, a whole bunch of recommendations. There's a search function which you can search on for your ebooks, your notebooks, everything like that. that button right there just takes you directly to the Kindle store. And through here, you can actually create a new notebook just like that if you want to. But otherwise, over here is the notebooks tab, and that is where you'll find your folders and your notebooks. I'll get into that later. Let me just show you what it is. So let's just click on a notebook here. This was just a quick little step that I did before. The reason why I want to show you this is because I want to show you the AI recognition, how it works. So after you've written a text or whatever it is, hello, how are you? This is a test of the Amazon AI recognition. I really like it. However, it would be great if it was faster. Let me also write, do you think Amazon will introduce new features? So I've just randomly decided to use the fountain pen on the thickest line possible. But just to give you an idea, if we click on top of the screen right there, there's a button here, which is the AI recognition button, or rather the Amazon AI button. Here you can go ahead and summarize. So it will convert that to text and it will summarize the conversation. And here it will refine the text. So let's just click refine the text and the current note, the current page, start. Let's see how long it actually takes to convert this to a word text. Mind you, there wasn't a lot of words here, but here you go. Hello, how are you? This is a test of the Amazon AI recognition. I really like it. However, it would be great if it was faster. Do you think Amazon will introduce new features? How brilliant is that? I really do appreciate it. It's really good. It really is good. You can, of course, change the font if you want, and the font size, the line spacing, whatever. Add that to the notebook, add it to the first or last page. Let's just go to the last page. We have it right here. Now, if we hypothetically wanted to, actually go ahead and convert that into, or summarize that, summarize all that text. Let me just go back to, there we go. These are just random bits and pieces that I'm doing for this review. But if you go back here, let's click summarize. And let's see if it actually works. This is a good test. To be fair, my handwriting wasn't really that bad. I wouldn't normally use the fountain pen on a thicker setting, but let's see. So notes discuss testing Amazon's AI recognition system. The user expresses like in the system but desires fast performance. The user wonders if Amazon will introduce new fakes in the future. Okay, so it obviously didn't get it completely. Features in the future. That's right. So again, it's AI and it is so dependent on your actual hand, how neat your handwriting is. So you can't really give it too much, but you know what? It was actually pretty good. And the fact that it did recognize it before, or convert it correctly before, was a really interesting thing. But you know, you can see that's not necessarily the neatest thing in the world. But nevertheless, that's how it goes. I do appreciate it. And while we're here, you can see the contrast between the white of the paper and the actual white border itself. This is really good. I don't want to bring up the remarkable. I don't want to bring up other comparatives, but I will say that this is so much better. The screen is so much better than all the other devices. So anyway, this is just a quick little physical overview of the device. Again, there are a whole bunch of other reviewers who actually go into the device details with specificity. I just wanted to give you a quick little idea of it. But anyway, let's go back to the review. So now that I've told you about the product and shown you the product, let's talk about me. Who am I? Why did I purchase this product? What did I hope to get out of this product? What are my expectations? Now, all of these questions are incredibly important, and you need to ask these questions for yourself, because these are the questions which will determine whether a product is suited for you or whether it's not. It's also the reason why I really hate watching reviews from big time tech reviewers on YouTube in this day of age, because they're not really reviewing a product because they actually want to use it for themselves or they see potential value in the product. They just want to review a product for the sake of making a video. And that is a real problem for me, because if you don't really care about the product, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to provide a good faith review on it. So with all that being said, what is my context? So I'm a commercial lawyer, I'm a corporate advisor, business owner, entrepreneur. Now I really hate the word entrepreneur, but it describes a lot that I do. And what do I do? Well, on a daily basis, I attend a lot of meetings. They're either in person, video conferencing calls, telephone calls, and this means I carry around a compendium, essentially a pad and pen, and that is what I use to take sporadic notes. Once my meetings are done, I can then actually do my nitty-gritty work. And that is when I take these notes and I import it into my computer, and then I use my computer to draft legal advice, research, email, do design work, brainstorm, etc., etc. So where does the Kindle Scribe come into play? Or better question, what am I actually trying to improve in my day-to-day life that would warrant me to need a Kindle Scribe? Well, it's really only to do one thing. It's to replace my compendium. I replace my paper notebook and pen. I'm not looking for it to do anything else. I did not expect that it would be a computer. I did not expect that it would be able to mimic my iPad Pro 12.9 inch. I simply wanted a simple single device that I can always take with me, something that has no distractions, serves one purpose, and quite frankly allows me to embrace minimalism in my life. And that is my problem, because I love stationery. I love Japanese and German fine paper. I love my fountain pens. Heck, I love all my pens. And I've noticed that I have a very bad habit of buying new notebooks and new pens and cluttering up my office, thinking that my writing and note-taking experience will be better. It doesn't. And so I wanted to change all of that. I wanted to embrace minimalism and have a digital e-ink notebook. And that is the reason why I bought the Amazon Kindle Scribe. So after a couple of weeks, what do I think of this device? Well, the too long didn't read version is that I'm sending it back. Now, I'm sending it back for a couple of reasons, but before I get into that, I want to make a disclaimer, because as soon as I purchased the Kindle Scribe, I became really curious about the Remarkable Paper Pro, so I ended up purchasing that as well. So I decided to actually compare and contrast both of these devices together, and I also compared it against the iPad Pro 12.9 inch, which I use with my Apple Pencil, as well as a physical pen and paper. So in this review, I'm actually going to talk about the Kindle Scribe on its own. I'm going to make 2 more videos, one about the Remarkable Paper Pro, and then do a comparison video against the two. So if you want to see the full picture, and again, nuances everything, please press subscribe and turn the notification bell on, because I will be posting these videos in the next few weeks. So why is the Kindle Scribe not for me? The biggest issue is that the Kindle Scribe's primary purpose is not that of an e-ink note-taking device, it's that of an e-ink reader, which also happens to have a stylus which you can write notes with. Remember, I purchased a Kindle Scribe to use as a digital notebook. I was not looking at getting an e-ink reader because I already have one. I've got the Kindle White Paperwhite Signature Edition. And when you compare the price of the Kindle Scribe, the secondary note-taking software and experience is way too basic for the price. And again, I paid $729 for this device. It is a lot of money. Now, let me start off with 3 issues that I've had with the device from a note-taking experience. My first gripe is that the organization and the operating system is not that great. So when you open the device, you immediately are shown the home menu, and what is displayed is your recent items, which includes your Kindle books that you've been reading. And the next row is a list of all your Kindle books. And then there's 2 more rows, which is essentially advertisements for the Kindle store. And if you keep scrolling, you keep seeing ads for the Kindle store. Now, this is really annoying and embarrassing at certain times when you're using this device for in a professional environment, because it immediately looks like you're using a device of pleasure as opposed to a professional device in which you're taking diligent work notes on. But even if you overlook the optics, what this front screen is telling me is that the Kindle Scribe is a Kindle first and a Scribe later. And this is a constant theme throughout the device. For example, once you turn the Scribe on, and then you're on the Home tab, you will see that the Notebooks tab is on the third tab. And it's essentially the last tab because the More tab is where you can access the system settings. And it's more interesting when you actually want to access your notes on your computer or on your phone. If you open the Kindle app on your Mac, for example, you have to find the More tab, and then just above Sync and Settings, you'll find an icon that says Notebooks, and that's where you can access your notes. This is a very peculiar place to put your notebooks because it's essentially tucked away. And it says one thing: the Kindle Scribe is a Kindle. You read books on it, but you can also, if you want, take notes on it. And that is where I feel that the Kindle Scribe just may not be the right fit for me, but it actually might be the right fit for you. Because if you're looking at a reading device first, the Kindle Scribe is great. The screen is incredibly sharp at 300 ppi. It's a big screen. So if you have trouble reading small fonts, then this is perfect for you because you can increase the font size without feeling like one word is taking up the entire screen. I mean, especially when you compare the two devices together. And I'll show you some B-roll for a better comparison, but it is a great screen. It's a big screen and it's perfect for people who have vision difficulties. It's also relatively ergonomic. And I mentioned this previously, but the side bezel is perfect for holding your device because you can confidently hold the device without touching the screen. And then accidentally highlighting a word or something like that. It actually reminds me of my old Kindle Oasis, which will always be my favorite Kindle of all time. I wish Amazon actually brought that back. But actually, speaking of the Oasis, there is some chatter on the interwebs to suggest that the Scribe was supposed to be a replacement for the Oasis. And it would be, if it wasn't for the fact that the Scribe is not waterproof. All other Kindles have an IPX8 rating, and this is a massive big deal for me because I take my Kindles everywhere, right? Especially when I go to, when I'm at the pool or at the beach. I appreciate the fact that it's waterproof. And I was actually thinking, like, if the Scribe actually was waterproof, it could potentially be a replacement for my Paperwhite. I do like it, but the experience on this is really nice, especially with the metal frame. If it was waterproof, I might have purchased it. That being said, if you're actually not really concerned about the waterproof nature of the Kindle, this could potentially be your primary Kindle. My second issue has been the writing experience. And this is an interesting point for me because when I first got the Scribe, I really loved the writing experience. And when I got the Remarkable Paper Pro, I hated it. I really hated the writing experience. But then over time, I started using the Remarkable more and more. And then I switched completely. And I haven't turned back. And this is a weird thing because the writing experience on the Kindle was really good. But now I really like writing on the Remarkable. I do feel validated though, because I've read several comments from people who've said the exact same thing, where you go from using the Scribe to the Remarkable, you're going to hate it at first, and then fall completely in love with the writing experience. I am very cautious of this experience though, because it resonates with the idea of ignorance is bliss, comparison is a thief of joy. As I said before, I really like the writing experience on the Scribe when it was just a Scribe. So that surely means that if you're looking at the features of the Scribe and it ticks every box for you, you shouldn't worry, the writing experience is great. If I had to describe the writing experience, it is more softer and it has a quieter touch. It's more smoother when you write on it with the stylus, and it almost feels like a felt tip on glossy paper, like photo paper. But besides that, I also had an issue with the display size. I tend to prefer A4 when it comes to writing notes, and the Scribe has an A5, essentially an A5 display. I was actually hoping that a smaller footprint would overcome my need for a bigger display, but in the end, I'm writing notes, so I really need that big display. That being said, if you do prefer a smaller size notepad, the screen real estate on the Scribe might be perfect for you. My third issue really goes back to my first issue because the note-taking function of the Kindle Scribe is a secondary function. And that means that when you're exporting your notes or you're viewing your notes on your phone, computer, tablet, say the iPad, is such a lackluster experience, especially when you compare it against a Remarkable, which has an amazing and intuitive app on all platforms. Not only is it more cumbersome to actually find your notebooks on the Kindle app, once you actually get there and find them, you can't do anything with them. You can't add any word text to it. You can't reorganize your notes. You can't move them around. You can't add new pages. You can't even export your notes. All you can do is view your notes, and that's it. The only way you'll be able to export your notes is by using the actual tablet and Kindle itself, which may be a little bit of a problem when a big functionality of having a digital notebook is that you have that ability to access your notes and manipulate your notes to a certain degree on different platforms. You can't really do that with a Scribe. And again, it is frustrating because you're spending a lot of money on this device, and despite that, you can't really use it as a reliable notebook that has sophisticated utility. In fact, I feel like, to a certain degree, I have more utility using a physical paper pad and pen, because at least with paper or physical paper, there's tangibility. You can flick from one section to another. You can add thumb tabs. You can physically feel and hold your piece of writing. You can do a lot. Whereas with the Kindle Scribe, it almost feels like my notes and notebooks are held hostage. So with these 3 issues, it's going back. But it isn't the end of the story, because there are legitimate pros on this device which actually may sway your decision. First, it has one of the whitest screens available when it comes to e-ink tablets. Again, I don't want to talk about the Remarkable, but I can't deny that when you compare the Scribe to its competitors, it is really good. I saw that straight away. I can't recall how I felt about the first Scribe, but again, because maybe the white bezel, it really makes the display. It's really nice. And again, comparing it to other e-ink tablets out there, it's really good. The second benefit, pro, is that the software has very little lag. It's actually it is incredibly fast. It's one of the fastest e-ink softwares I've used. And I've also used the Supernote as well previously. But all of this isn't really that surprising. I mean, Amazon is the OG when it comes to e-ink tablets. They were the first ones to successfully bring e-ink to the mass market on a global scale back in, 2007. And they have a very good understanding of the technology. And even though I'm not a huge fan of how Amazon has decided to organize its notebook functionality, if I put my corporate advisor hat on, I know that this was not an accident. It was an intentional decision, and quite frankly, a very smart decision, because my handwritten notes don't make money for Amazon, provided that there's adequate privacy protocols in place. But do you know what makes money for Amazon? Me purchasing books. Third, the eraser on the back of the pen is amazing. When you use it to erase writing, it genuinely feels like you're using a physical, real-life pencil eraser. So much to the extent that my muscle memory kicks in, and I'm constantly brushing the screen to get rid of the eraser shavings, even though there's obviously none there. The classic hand movement right there. It's honestly amazing, and it's a great functionality. Fourth is Amazon AI. Now, this is an interesting feature that I thought was a gimmick, and that's because handwriting to text conversion isn't really a new thing, and it also requires you to write legibly. Now, my handwriting is atrocious, and that's because I'm speedily writing things down. It's not for other people, it's just for me. But the recognition software is so good. Majority of the time, it can actually decipher my handwriting. But it goes one step further. Because if it can decipher my handwriting, it can also summarize my notes. And the summary functionality is amazing. It's brilliant. And the font that Amazon uses, I love. So it's actually something that might sway you depending on your use case, because it actually does work. So in conclusion, the Kindle Scribe, it's going back. But that doesn't mean the Remarkable Paper Pro is staying though. So you need to wait and see my next video to see what I actually think of it. Now, if this video was useful to you, I ask that you do one thing, which is subscribe, like, and turn the notification bell on. It's a very simple thing for you, but it means the world to me. So I thank you so much, and I will see you on the next video.